Welcome to the latest edition of the Hudson County Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Hagan. With me today is an extremely special guest because for the first time in the 29 episodes of the podcast, we've had other sports legends. This one is a comic legend. He was born in Cuba, but he was raised in North Bergen. That's where he got his comic roots. And he also was a good basketball player growing up in North Bergen, but then from then on he moved all over the place and has now been a stand-up comedian, an actor, and had roles in 30 different movies, including Taxi. He had a major role in the movie Taxi with Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah, and more importantly, The Longest Yard, the remake of The Longest Yard with Adam Sandler and Chris Rock, and yes, the legendary Burt Reynolds. And he is the host of his own podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now, that's been running for now almost 10 years. And it is my friend, the one, the incomparable Joey Coco Diaz. Coco, how are you, my friend?
Good, my friend. Hey, thank you for having me on, brother.
I'm glad to have you. This is a treat for me, and I know it's going to be a treat for a lot of the other people that are in the area. So let's
In the midst of all this chaos, it's great to hear a familiar accent. So
that's right. The two of us sound like we come right from the same next door, right?
Yeah. Great.
All right. If we can, let's go back a little bit with your life. You were born in Cuba, and you came here at a very young age. How old were you? About 3, 4?
Like about 3.
Yeah. All right. And you went right to North Bergen?
No, lived in Union City. My mother had been here with my father earlier. Opened up a business right down the block from Washington School on 39th and New York Avenue.
Okay.
Called the next to down the corner from Carvel and down the block from the bottom of the barrel.
Right around the corner from where I used to work at the Hudson Dispatch. See that?
There you go.
Right.
And, then they went back to Cuba, had my sister meet, then came back and opened up a bar on 29th Street in Union City. And then they lived kind of on by Robert Waters.
Oh, okay.
And then when my dad died when I was 3, we moved to New York City but kept the bar. We moved to New York but kept the bar in Union City. So I was here every day. I was in Jersey every day.
Wow.
And then she figured out by the age of 10 it was just time to move over, and North Bergen was the hot spot. You know, North Bergen was booming. A lot of Hoboken people had moved into North Bergen. And, that was 1973.
Okay. Now talk a little bit about back then. What was it like to move to North Bergen? And were you a fish out of water, so to speak, because you didn't hardly know anybody? Or did you fit right in because you knew how to play ball?
No, I would always come home to New York. I went to Sacred High School for boys in Kearney in the 3rd to the 5th grade. So my Jersey roots were deep already. Plus, like in Union City, I had become friends with kids from the neighborhood. At the time, there was Union City kids who went to Sacred Heart with me, Jimmy Exart and Pablo Bergozzi. Parents owned, they used to own a pharmacy on like 20th and Bergen line.
Okay.
So I had little roots then. And then I went to McKinley, and I did okay. You know, hoops wasn't a big thing then. I was friends with Chucky. I'm a year older than Chucky.
Chucky McBreen. Okay. Okay.
So I got left back in the 7th grade. And I fit right in with Chucky and those guys. And when I got left back, I felt horrible. It wasn't even because I was half a momo. It was because I didn't go to summer school. I didn't summer school. And if you had 3 missed summer schools, they held you. So I didn't go to summer school. And I got in trouble, and then I got my back. And guess who my 7th grade teacher was? Mr. Barone.
Ah, there you go.
So my first day with Mr. Barone was how we weren't really keen on each other. And I took his car keys and I threw them in the garbage. home every day and watch, Julius Erving with the Nets.
Yep.
And Super John Williamson and Billy Balls.
Those are great teams. Larry Keenan, those were great teams. That Nets team was a good.
ABA was just too much. Plus the Knicks, were great. And I don't know, football didn't call me. I was Cuban, and I'm horrible at baseball. Like, I'm the only Cuban that's terrible at baseball. Like, can't see a curveball. I can't even see a fastball. So that stuff ended, and then I just asked them.
All right, and where were you playing? Where were you playing basketball at that age? You were like 12 years old. Where were you? 38th Street. Okay.
38th Street. And then once our team went 4-3 in the 7th grade, there was a little hope. Like I had hope. Like I did okay. I don't know what I had because I wasn't a high scorer. It was Chucky.
Chucky was the high scorer on your team. That's pretty good.
Oh, please. Chucky could put him in. He was racking him up at Our Lady of Fatima, and he was killing him at McKinley.
Okay.
So then I just started hanging out with Chucky and learning. And, I would get up early at 9 and go up to the 38th Street projects and play with a guy from Union City who was all county up there. I would take 300 jump shots like Paul West, like Jerry Weston.
Yep.
And then I would go back to 38th Street.
Who was the all-county player from Union City that you were talking about? Was that Sergio Berdaggi?
No, this was Rich Kid, Tougher Than Nails.
What was his name?
Tougher Than Nails. I don't know. I can't.
Oh, you don't remember his name? Okay.
He was Tougher Than Nails. And then I would go to North Bergen and, we'd play on 38th Street. You get passing out now and you have to hydrate. We didn't do things. We played ball with no water. We didn't drink water for 22 hours. We were out there, these kids hydrate them. Hydrated. Remember, North Bergen is the second hilliest hill in the country. So 38th Street Portsmouth, Lucas Baker, was up a hill, the Chinese Dragon, or down to 40 like Dirt Street.
Right.
So either way, you were done. So you just played basketball. Half played dead. Then we go home and eat dinner and go back to the courts and a kid named Paul Kelso put music on it. But I think that's the year I was following college basketball. I didn't know bits and pieces of it. And I throw on the semifinals of NCAA. And there's this white dude that's playing his heart out. And he's covering this guy, and his name is Glenn Gonzalez. And after the game, I didn't know anything about him. He stuck out in my head. And that Monday, he was playing in the national championship. And I put it on. And when they said from Jersey City, New Jersey, Michael Corrin, my heart stopped.
Okay.
Like, I had never had that feeling before in my life. Like, Ricky Ricardo did something to me. Roberto Clemente did something to me. Bruce Lee had connected with me. But wait a second. So there's a kid down the corner, and he's an All-American. An Irish kid. That means I got a shot at this. So it was Michael Corrin who opened up my door. Then I found out about Jim Sparano. And then I went over the top. And then I had heard whispers of Jackie Galloon.
Oh, you didn't even know Jackie at that point, no.
No, and then I had family that had a basketball court, that Memorial basketball court. And I saw a guy named George Regina who played for Memorial, and Jackie Galloon was there putting on a clinic, Jack.
Oh, gosh.
Putting on a clinic, and you're a kid watching this. And at that time we had Nicky Gallis, and those were our heroes.
Yep.
A lot of people don't. Martuniak was a guy from Union City who played for the Chicago Bulls. He had a bar on 29th around the corner from Bergen Line. It's right up the corner of the post office in New Jersey before. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right there on that.
None guesses?
What's that?
You're talking about none guesses?
No. on the other side.
On the other side. Oh, you're talking about, let's say 29th and Union City. Yeah, right, 29th and Bergen line where you go before you're going down to Seacouke.
Right, there used to be a thing called Chappie's Florist.
Yep.
You pass Chappie's, and on that corner, that bar was named Otto's. The owner, who God rest his soul, was a Chicago Bull. He sat on the bench.
What was his name?
Really bad. Teddy Martuniak.
Teddy Martuniak, of course, sure.
Yes, so all this stuff is going on, I'm just trying to get the 8th grade team a lot better. And then I find out about Superstar Basketball Camp.
Okay. Well, first, before you go on, you said you first fell in love with college basketball because of Mike O'Corin. All right. You realize that there were two people from Jersey City in that NCAA championship game in 1977. Did you know that?
Yes.
The other one was Jimmy Boylan, the point guard for Marquette, who, won the national championship that year, and the rest is history. Marquette beat. I remind O'Corin about that championship game as many times as I possibly can every time I talk to him. And after we're done talking today, I'm going to call him again to remind him to say, guess what? We were talking about you today, and we brought up the 77 championship game because, Marquette is my alma mater, so that's why I throw it into his face all the time. See? But, yeah. I'm getting cute. You danced around the 77 championship game a little bit, but,
Don't mess with my Irishman, though.
No, well, I'm even close. I'm very close to O'Corin. Yeah, O'Corin and I are still very close, and I will talk to him. Go ahead.
I told you when I see him now, I still get goosebumps. And I told you that was going to be the biggest thing was the cover of his name. The whole thing about Rosie.
Yeah, oh yeah. You break it up a little bit on me, brother.
I ended up going to Superstar Basketball Camp, and my world was blown up.
Okay, and which Superstar camp did you go to? The one at St. Peter's College or the one at Hudson Catholic?
Hudson, I think, you know what? I had to take the number one bus to Jersey City in those days. And what people don't remember about the number one bus was in Jersey City, there was a methadone clinic.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They don't know think about things.
Yeah, oh my God, you get on.
Methadone is on the way down, and methadone is on the way back, and we would shoot strip balls at them.
Oh yeah, they'd be hanging out there on the corner, and that was a scary group.
And then, so you got to take the bus to Jersey City. I'm in the 7th grade.
Okay.
8th grade. And I'm taking the number one bus at 7 a.m. to get me down to Jersey City. And then I would walk with my little basketball to Superstar.
Okay.
Rich Weiner was my coach.
All right.
And I got the outstanding rebounder. So Mr. Hurley gave me his number, and I kept in touch with him and his wife. They took me to the AAU. They were recording Whitey Lee Irwin from North Bergen.
Yep.
Was a 6'5" kid from Franklin, and they were recording Whitey. So we used to go to watch St. Anthony games. And then Mandy Johnson was there. They lost an AAU game.
And where did Mandy Johnson go to college?
Marquette.
That's right, guys. I figured I'd throw that back into your face again.
What do you think you're doing? Joey Bananas? You don't make me go over there. You don't make me go over there.
I had to bring up. You brought up Marquette twice in 20 minutes, Coco. I had to belabor it. Go ahead.
Stop with Marquette already. I love Marquette, but stop.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. All right, go ahead.
And then I'm ACC boy because of Bernardo. And then we had the Louisville connection, and that's a complete different story. We'll get into some other time.
Okay.
But my first idol, Michael Corin, let me know it was possible to do something with my life.
Wow.
I kind of like seeing my name. I kind of like seeing his name on TV and seeing Jersey City underneath it.
Okay.
It meant a lot to me. Like, it just meant so much to me. And early. I would write letters to Bill Foster. I would write letters to Dean Smith. I would write letters to every coach I could to get workout programs. And they would send me workout programs in those days.
Wow.
You know, I wrote Bill Foster a letter telling him that me and Spinoza were like Goombas. You know what I'm saying? I never.
And Spinoza doesn't know about that, does he?
No, he don't know about that. I wrote Coach Foster a letter telling him like, Spinoza ain't thick. Wait till you get a load of me. I may not be a genius. I may not be a 4.0, but I'm gonna rock your world, coach. So send me a workout. Those the colleges all had printed workouts.
Yep.
All you had to do was reach out to them. So I sent one to Dean Smith, Bill Foster. I mean, I can't remember Raleigh Massimino, Krasinski when he was still in Army.
All right, did anybody write you a letter back, like a personalized letter back saying, you know, good luck to you and thanks for writing and those types of things? Was there any of the coaches that wrote a letter back to you?
You want me to tell you what they would do? They would send you a package and a letter saying thank you for your interest, and they would sign the letter. That meant more to me than anything. We don't write letters no more in society.
Yeah, no.
You know, unless you got a cousin in prison. You don't write letters no more.
No,
but
no.
that was big in the 8th grade. So
Sure.
I had all their workouts. I had a bounce back. And me, Whitey, Chuck McBreen, we would ride our bikes between Kennedy, McKinley, Gilmore to play with Dracula, 57th Street. You know, I can tell you stories about hiding in the rocks in Hudson County Park waiting for Bernard King to come up.
Okay.
The galaxy. I mean, we were basketball fanatics, man. It was, and then you got a kid by the name of, let's not even get into a kid by the name of Danny Jones.
Well, he put North Bergen on the map, boy. He put North Bergen on the map.
Let's not forget about Carl DeVito. Let's not forget about Matty Pickenich.
Yep.
That team was those.
That was a great North Bergen team. Glenn Havlicek, Louis Cruz, Carl DeVito, Danny Calandrillo, Stevie Greco. That was one hell of a basketball team. They were great. And I was there in the 77. No, maybe it was 78. It might have been one of those 2 years. Might have been 77. But yeah, no, 70. It was definitely 77. They played Bloomfield in the.
I was there.
So was I too. The North Bergen, the North Jersey Section 1 Group 4 state championship game against Bloomfield and Kelly Trafuca. And Kelly Trafuca had 55 points. Remember?
44. 20 from 24 from the field. And he missed the last shot, which was an alley-oop.
He missed his last 3 shots. Yeah, you break it up, brother. He missed his last 3 shots that day. I think he was 9 for his first 10. And was like 17 for 19, but down the stretch he missed his last 3, and I've even laughed with Carl DeVito about that the last seconds of that game. Is that shot he took to win hung on the rim for about an hour and a half before it fell in, and North Bergen won. And they won by 1 or 2, but DeVito hit the shot.
I still remember Calandrillo fouling out.
Yes.
And give DeVito his cross, and DeVito kissed him.
Yes.
Come on, dog. What do you think you're dealing with, Joey Bananas?
No, I'm sorry.
Away from the marijuana's gone. But if I start talking about 78, the whole town will be in prison. You understand?
That's right.
I remember the whole thing. It was a great night. We had to take a bus there. In those days, you had to take a bus from Union City to New York City and then back out to that game.
That was in Hackensack. So you wait a minute. So you took a bus from Union City to Port Authority and then took a bus from there?
to the city and then to Piscataway to watch the Nets the first season. We all went to see Moses Malone when he was still a Houston Rocket.
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
My Jimmy run. I still remember when the Nets used to practice at APA.
Yes.
And we would go down there and try to bust down there and see the Nets. You're talking to the wrong guy, though.
No, I understand. You're from the neighborhood.
I used to Durotest to steal light bulbs.
Yeah.
And people on the heads of them, you know what I'm saying? You're talking to the wrong
Going to Durotest and stealing light bulbs. And those were those fluorescent things that that they hang in doctor's office. You know.
But give them away and just bang each other in the head with those light bulbs. How we're not missing an eye?
Oh my God!
The voice box is beyond me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God! See. That's right. See, you were going to Durotest and stealing light bulbs. And me and my friends, we were going down to the docks in Weehawken and stealing rotten bananas so we could, or better yet, drive our cars on top of the rotten bananas so we could do like 360s in the parking lot and wait until the security guards came out. Remember the old Chiquita Bananas plant down in Weehawken, down in the docks?
Oh my God.
And they were all nothing but rotten bananas all over the place, and we used to spin out on the bananas just to make sure that. Make it look like we were like I don't know, like Burt Reynolds in Smokey and the Bandit, and spin out all over the place. Yeah. So anyway, but going back to basketball days. So you were at Superstar Camp, and did you obviously that camp was great in the terms of playing against the top competition in the county. And did you hold your own? I mean, obviously you weren't the tallest guy in the world, but how did you?
No, but I was a great Richie Weiner worked with me on boxing out that week.
Okay.
So that week I went up and that really, gave me confidence. And then our 8th grade team was great at McKinley. We had 3 different coaches. One guy got fired. I don't know why. The other guy got fired. No, he quit because he was a racist. And then the other guy, we got appointed through, because in the 8th grade in North Bergen, we had an 8th grade teacher named Wally Lindsay.
Yo.
He also doubled as the Weehawken mayor.
Yep.
So he hooked us up with a coach named Turk Jordan.
Oh my Lord God. Oh God.
He just come out of jail for punching Orbach in the face with a cigar in Madison Square Garden. So the first thing Turk Jordan told us, we were like 2-0 at the time. I think we won our first game against Lincoln because Franklin played Kennedy, and the Animals of Kennedy broke Lee Irwin's ankle.
Oh wow.
So we played Lincoln, we beat them. And then I think we played 2 games with no coach. And then Barone took us outside and taught us different plays. And then Turk Jordan took over.
So now when Turk Jordan was coaching you, was he with or without the toupee?
Oh, no. The wig was in full effect. With the leather jacket, he used to wiggle. We get a couple cocktails in him to blast. And we didn't even know what that was. We do the skunk one. We just do the skunk one instead. You know what I'm saying?
And did you get close enough to Turk to get a whiff?
No, this is before we started kicking them from the 60-yard line. But let me tell you 2 stories about Turk. He told us that if we had a winning record, he would get all of us laid. Okay? So we played like we were going to die in the 8th grade. We won 4-3, and we kept tormenting him. Turk, what's going on with the chick? When are you going to hook us up with these women? So Turk goes, it's coming. So the last day of school, we're all at 38th Street Court, and who pulls up with a Cadillac? We had long forgotten about Turk. We hadn't seen Turk since February, but he gave us his word that he was going to get us hooked up with some broads and stuff and some girls. Here we are, 13 years old. Turk pulls up in a Cadillac with his wig, and he comes up to us and he goes, guys, go in the back seat. There she is. She's waiting for you, right? We walk back there. It's like a Playmate from 1940. She had a wig off, so she looked like somebody had beat her up. And I remember him going like, "Who's first?" And we all looked at each other. We're like, "Turk, we got homework. We gotta go."
Yeah.
And that's the last time I saw Turk Jordan. But that Christmas, he took me, Chucky, and Whitey O'Donnell. He promised us that he was going to get us tickets for the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Knicks. Christmas Day, New Year's Irving, all the trimmings.
Wow.
You don't say that to me. You don't say that. So we hold them. We call him up Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, Turk. Are we going? He goes, absolutely. I knew the conversation was wrong when he goes, meet me at Marty's Bar and Grill on 43rd and 8th. I'm like, wait a second, Turk. We're in the 8th grade.
Yeah, how are we going to get into a bar? Go ahead.
So me, Whitey, and Chucky, we go over there. You know, we're naive. We take basketball with us. We actually think we're going to go on the court. We get to this bar. He's half in the bag. He walks us to the guard, and then he goes, we ain't got tickets. We're like, what do you mean you don't got tickets? He goes, we're going to stub our way in. You just call. Next time you get Chucky on, let him confirm.
Okay.
I didn't know what we went on as 8th graders. We each got like $5 bills, and we put them on the old tickets that Turk gave us.
Yeah.
And we stubbed our way into the garden.
Oh my God.
And there, we sat. Every seat was full. Everywhere we go, a family would come. And then when we did get a seat, he'd insult the people. People would get up to go to the bathroom and he'd tell them you could get more exercise at the YMCA and all this.
Classic Turk. That's classic Turk stories. Classic. Did he ever give you a chance of selling the Daily News for him down outside the tunnel? He used to sell the Daily News outside the tunnel, especially the Night Owl edition, and he'd track down cars and give them, and then he would never have a change. So guys would like give him $1 bill for like the 25-cent Night Owl edition of the Daily News, and he'd say, "Sorry, I have no change," and then run back off the street, and he'd collect all the change, and he'd make money hands over foot. That was a routine he did for years.
I heard he's still around.
No, Turk is gone. Turk passed away about 3 years ago. And the sad thing was is that there was very few people at his wake, and Turk and I weren't on great terms when he passed away. No, a long time ago, but I did go to the wake, and there were very few people that were there. It's very sad, but no, Turk is gone 3 years ago.
He was a wild man.
No question. He was. I can go on and on talking about Turk Jordan stories. He was.
I never saw 3 kids run away. It was like 6 of us. 3 of us. We were 6 13-year-old horny kids, and we all ran into the woods when he told us that he had a girl in the back.
Oh God, I don't want to even know what that looked like. So, all right. So, were you all set to go to North Bergen High School to play basketball?
All set. I had it in my head. Worked hard off on. I went to 5-star with Greg Loretta.
Wow, you went to 5-star too. Who got you in there?
Mr. Hurley.
Okay, and who paid for it? He did?
A partial scholarship. I think it was, I don't know what it was at the time.
Okay, and Mr. Garfinkel took you, and if you were on the scholarship, did you have to work up there, like bust tables and wash the walls and those types of things?
I forget. I know that it was either like a partial or we paid. That summer, we had gone to Willis Reed basketball camp. We had gone to Vineland, Abu's basketball camp was a great camp in Vineland, New Jersey. That guy actually taught me how to shoot properly. He was a tremendous shooter.
All right, and who took you to all these places, Coco? Who took you to all these camps?
North Bergen had a contract.
Had a what?
North Bergen kind of had a contract with the basketball camp.
Okay. Yeah.
Some were sleepaway, and some were just 3 days. I think I went to one at Rutgers, run by that coach for 3 days with all the players.
Tom Young. It was called the Tom Young All-American Basketball Camp at Rutgers, right?
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but
yeah, Tom Young was the coach at Rutgers at that time. He had a basketball camp that was a sleepaway, and it was called the Tom Young All-American Basketball Camp.
Yeah, I think we went to that one.
Yeah, I went to that one as well, and the reason why I remember it is that he kept talking over and over again about the greatest player I ever coached ever in my life was at American University, and here he is, Kermit Washington, and he brought Kermit Washington out, and I remember Kermit Washington was really nice to the kids, and here's Kermit Washington, and then 2 years later, Kermit Washington almost killed Rudy Tomjanovich on the floor. If you remember that punch, oh God! And that book is a great book, The Punch, great book, but.
Over and over the same goddamn story, but it was a good book.
Yep. But
no, I was all set to go to North Bergen. Everything was ready to go. There was torturing that you had to play football, to play basketball, because the basketball coach was the football coach of assistant, and he would get to see you. So I'm like, wait a second, I'm a basketball player. Why would I want to play football, get hurt, and then not be ready for basketball?
Okay.
So he kept talking me into it. The guy's name was Danny Reardon.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so he kept talking me into it.
Danny is still the girls' basketball coach in North Bergen. I hope you realize.
I think I will. I'm going to tell you more about the story. I think I went to one day of practice and one scrimmage, and I'm like, I'm not going to get the ball. So
okay.
Cross-country, being basketball, so I was running that, in cross-country, but track coach taught me how to run, how to ease myself. So I got to tell you something, Jim. I was ready to go. I was one of the best rebounders on the team. My offense, I had a great 18-foot, and I moved a lot. I set picks, and I was physical. So on paper, the room is where I was starting. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The room is where I was starting on paper. On paper, it was a no-brainer, the starting team. But over to the scrimmage, I found out that me and this guy didn't click. Even though I would fuck his first team up in practice, he didn't click with me. There was something about Danny Reardon and me that didn't click.
Okay.
To the point where people had to even pull him aside and go, why is he at the end of the bench? And he made up some story about how I didn't play defense. I played like some type of Puerto Rican defense where I would try to steal the ball. He made some defense up to me because I pulled him aside one day. And I had played at St. Michael CYO with Hennessy, with the Packers, Mahoney, Wiley, this was the area. And the real estate I knew, way to get him in there, and you didn't see it that way.
Okay.
And guess what? The band is with Isabella. As
Coco, you break it up again. You're breaking up. You didn't see eye to eye with Sabello? Okay.
So, we didn't see, listen, if everybody was the world would be a lot easier. But if you can, and I like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, he just didn't stick me to them. So here I am, not starting, and feeling like death, because I know I can take a penny play on that team. And the players knew a little weird about it. So, you know what, man? That pushed me over the top so much that that's when I started experimenting with drugs.
Wow.
That basketball thing bothered me so much that at the end of I made the season. I didn't say much. I went back to karate or whatever the hell I was doing. But I was weighing my options. I didn't want to transfer to St. Joe's and be one of those guys. I knew I didn't have the speed to go to St. Anthony's and run with those savages. You know? So, I didn't know I was left in like this limbo, basketball limbo. I started working out again. I was playing hard. I said, you know what? I'll try out the JV and take my chances. But you know what? Between you and I, deep down inside, I was already broken hearted.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Even though you knew at that time that Barone was the JV coach and you had a good relationship with Barone, you didn't stick around and try to be on that team?
You know, man.
Or was Randy Shave the JV coach then? No, Randy was just the assistant with the varsity.
Yeah. I got along with Randy. I was tight with Barone, but I didn't want to put them in that position.
Okay.
Me and Barone were way past teacher, coach, student relationship. Barone was my mentor. He made me laugh. Remember, I had Barone in the 7th and 8th grade. I saw him every day.
Right.
So when I found out Barone was in the Hall of Fame, I showed up at his house.
Okay.
And at that time, he had a basketball court in front of his house. And I would call for Barone. I would take my bicycle from 38th Street. I'm not going to tell you where he lived at the time, but it wasn't close to 38th Street.
No.
I would ride my bike to his house, and I would call for him, and he would go, what the hell do you want? And I go, come on down and teach me how to shoot. And against him, I mean, it was just amazing how he shot. So I learned as much as I could from him. So he was a big focal point at that time, but I didn't want to put him in that position. That I was going to go to jail. I wasn't, first of all, there was no way I was going to start JV as a sophomore.
Okay.
There was no way. But at that time, I was young. I was stupid. I didn't have the patience to stick with it.
Okay. So then you started to get into trouble right away then while you were a sophomore in high school?
No. I got a job. I stayed in school. I went to concerts. I hung out with the guys. And then that summer going into my sophomore year, I did everything I was supposed to do. I was still drilling. I was still lifting weights. I was going up to Joey Downey. Downey was his last name.
Downey.
From the projects up in 38th Street. He played for Union City.
Yep, okay.
He played for Union Hill. Nice kid. So I would go up there with him, shoot around with him, and then go back to 38th Street. By that time, Chucky and everybody else would show up. But at night, I was smoking pot. I was drinking, and then I got a lung infection. In August, I was hospitalized for 13 days. I didn't come out until September 28th or something.
Okay.
The night Muhammad Ali lost
Leon Spinks.
somebody. No, Leon. Yeah, maybe. Or Leroy. No, Holmes.
Oh, Larry Holmes? Oh, that was terrible. He didn't even fight. He didn't show up. Yeah.
September 28th, 1979 is when I got released from the hospital.
Okay.
So they told me I couldn't run anymore. I couldn't accept my lungs. So sophomore basketball was out. But you know what? I was still in his mother died on November 8th.
Oh, wow.
So basketball was completely done. And guess what? I was still playing at Hashways. I was still smoking motherfuckers at Hashways. All right? I mean, I was smoking motherfuckers. I was what you called a playground player.
Okay.
Once you don't play organized basketball, you become a playground player and you just rip it up.
Okay. And were you playing with people like Billy Horrenda and Tommy Parker and those those characters up there?
All those guys.
Yeah.
Everybody. Anybody who went to Hashways. We got a roast beef sandwich on rye with an iced tea. Mayonnaise, heavy on the pepper, light on the salt. We got a macaroni salad, and we played till you had to go home for dinner.
All right, but now at that point though, Coco, expand upon it a little bit. You were an orphan at the age of 16, and what happened at that point? You went all around, right? You lived all over the place in North Bergen, right?
That is one of the best families in North Bergen. They took me in. They lived right around the corner from my mother. I still had access to, downtown North Bergen, but I was crazy, man. She was out of control. She was a different North Bergen. There was kids out every night on the street, jumping, yelling, screaming. So I got into a little bit of trouble. I moved on. I moved in with the Runnies, and they took great care of me. Another great North Bergen family. Listen, let me tell you something about North Bergen. I'm North Bergen raised, via Hoboken raised. Because everybody who I was raised around, I know you're tight with this family. You know how many meals I had at Diaz of North home?
That's what you're saying. Yep.
200.
Yep.
I don't know how many times I ate over there. When we talk about great American families, listen, I was an orphan that didn't have to do paperwork.
Yeah.
North Bergen took care of me. The Tabascos, the Lorenzos, the Ascaleses, the Hashways, the Lebranos, the Abillos, the Quinteros. I mean, this is a community effort.
Mrs. H took care of you too, right?
Mrs.
Horrenda.
Mrs. Ascalese was a mom to me.
Yeah.
She knew what I was doing.
No, but I'm saying, didn't Mrs. Horrenda take care of you too as well?
Mrs. Horrenda was a sweetheart. I mean, I knew Bill before Mr. Horrenda passed.
Yep.
I go back deep with those guys.
Yep.
So that whole neighborhood pretty much took care of me. But as time went on, I let the neighborhood down.
Okay.
Drugs had taken over, blah, 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 had taken over. But it's really weird. I ended up going to Colorado. I played, basketball from time to time. And as time went, my shoulders went. But here's the crazy thing, how this all relates. I always regretted quitting basketball.
Okay.
Because worst case scenario, you know what, if I worked hard enough, and if I really wanted it, I let Reardon take the oxygen out of my bubble. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you as straight up as it was. Until about 1996, if things would have gone sour for me, the first guy that was going to get taken out was going to be Danny Reardon.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
I'm telling you this.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
When things started going sour for me in my life, I started looking for scapegoats. I started, like we all do, and started taking responsibility for myself. And I'll tell you what, my state of mind in 91 was this comedy shit don't work. I'm going to start stabbing motherfuckers. First guy, and I heard that he was still hanging out at the brass rail. So my plan was to go back to just fucking stab him outside the brass rail.
Oh, God.
And get him out. No, that's when when your mom dies, you're a Catholic, and you're that broken, and then you throw drugs into the mix. I don't want to tell you where your mind goes. You start pointing fucking fingers. And instead of claiming responsibility, I pointed my finger at him, thinking that he was the cause of why I went sour. And it wasn't until years later when I go, what am I talking about? I could have fought tooth and nail. I had Barone behind me. I had Randy Shave behind me. I had the whole community of North Bergen behind me. I just gave up.
Yeah.
So when that basketball lesson of me quitting made me work in comedy that much harder.
Okay. All right, so now I hate to bring it up, but in 1988, you fell on some hard times and you ended up getting arrested.
Let's go back to 83. That was hard time. I left in 83, went to Colorado with Jimmy Burkle, another great family that took good care of me in North Bergen. The Milanos took care of me. The Bizzacos took care of me. I mean, it was just, the Garcias took care of me. You have no idea. There was nothing. James Lebrano gave me more chicken cutlet. By the way, another guy, another family who took great care of me that I'm not surprised he is where he is today. Anthony Veneri.
Okay.
Anthony Veneri should be more than mayor of North Bergen.
Okay.
Because when he was 15, he loved North Bergen with all his heart. When he was 8, we would drive around at night, and he would tell me about his love for North Bergen and what North Bergen meant to him and what his vision was for North Bergen. So we were just two stupid kids. You know what the dream was? This was the dream, just so you know. The dream that was because I had personal problems, drug issues. I was going to leave North Bergen and come back once he became mayor and be his driver.
Really? Okay.
That was the dream, for me to get my life together and to come back to North Bergen one day and become his driver.
Wow.
As the mayor. That was how pathetic my mind was. But still, that's how much I knew he would succeed. And look at the guy, he's an assemblyman.
Okay.
So, I found myself in 1984 sleeping in the rocket ship at 88th Street Park.
Oh my God, really?
I would go to Corky's, I would go to Joe Mary's, I would hang out with North Bergen people, but I had destroyed North Bergen to such a point that I only had friends feeding me now.
Okay.
So I would live at 88th Street Park at night. I would sleep there, get up at like 10. Some kid would wake me up. Mister, get up. You're in the rocket ship. I would sleep on the 3rd floor. I would go to Runny's, get something to eat. Sometimes go to Mr. A's house. They used to have a shower downstairs, and I would shower. And Jennifer.
Yep.
The middle one that's married to Mr. D'Onofrio.
Yes. That's Jeff.
She used to bring me Mr. A's t-shirts.
Okay.
And give me whatever leftovers. She's the unsung hero of this story. Never told nobody. Never said a word to anybody. I would shower and she'd say to me, here's one of my dad's t-shirts. Here I am homeless. And she would give me whatever Mrs. A cooked the night before. Never did she tell nobody Joey came over here, homeless. I mean, the Ashley's family was just, and Michael is who turned me on to David Letterman.
Okay. That's probably when David Letterman was doing a daytime show.
No, this is when we went to his house when we were still in high school.
Oh, okay.
We would watch Letterman late night, and he would cook something on the grill for me or something like that.
Okay.
I go back with Michael to his apartment, me, him, and his girlfriend at the time, when Joe Montana threw the touchdown to Dwight Clark.
Wow.
Me and Michael, it was January of 82.
Yes.
And me and Michael were sitting in that thing going crazy. Okay. That's how back another guy that affected me more than my mother did.
Okay.
North Bergen is responsible for who I am, whether they like it or not. And I gotta be honest with you, it's all of Hudson County because this little piece of your city and me, half the people I grew up, half the names I mentioned were all Hoboken based.
Yep. Without question, they all are. Yeah.
Yeah. So after I left North Bergen in 85, another teacher helped me from North Bergen, Mr. Terranova. He lives in Florida now.
Yep.
He took me to meetings, got my life straight. I went out to Colorado. I stayed okay for about a year, and then I went off the reservation. I got locked up in Boulder, got out of Boulder, did like a year in prison, and all the signals pointed to stand-up.
Yeah. And now, you started doing stand-up while you were in prison to the other inmates. Is that correct?
Well, let's be honest with ourselves.
All right.
Let's be really honest. First place I started stand-up was that motherfucking number 1 bus. Because your goal was to make the bus driver stop and give you a warning.
All right.
Okay, number 2, the other stage was Hashway's Deli.
Okay.
Remember, I'm from North Bergen, Jack. Everybody's funny.
Yep.
Everybody's funny from North Bergen. I was telling my wife the other day in North Bergen, you had one opportunity to open up your mouth. And it didn't make a difference. They would turn and go fuck yourself. So you got fun. North Bergen's funny.
Pete Segro was funny? Pete Segro was funny?
Everybody was funny in North Bergen.
All right.
One way or another.
Okay.
We all have such a unique. Listen, they shot the Beatles. They shot John Lennon on a Monday night during Monday Night Football.
Yep.
Tuesday there was a painting of the Beatles in North Bergen High. There was already an ex to John Lennon. I don't want to fucking hear it. We don't play games. We tell it how it is.
That's terrible.
I still remember being in front of North Bergen and throwing snowballs and hitting a guy that was dressed as Santa Claus on his way to like one of those places where he rings the bell. And we clocked him with a snowball in front of the high school, and he ran at us, and we all jumped him and beat up Santa.
You beat up Santa. He's working for the Salvation Army, and you beat up Santa.
I kind of jumped on poor Santa.
Oh, God.
This was the North Bergen mentality at that time. But after I got out, people into the stand-up and whatnot, and it was crazy because I didn't think I could do it, but North Bergen helped me do it. Like I thought about North Bergen, and what I did was I took all the characters that I thought were funny from North Bergen, and I mixed them together with my flavor, and that's who I am on stage today.
Okay.
So I'm a mixture of Barone, Roger Holloway, you know. The list is endless of how many, you know, Pete Parker, what's his name, Parker?
Tommy Parker. Tommy Parker.
You know, I still remember Tommy Parker with a racing form around his arm as he was 16 years old.
He was doing that before he was 16. He was about 12 when he was picking winners. Yep.
So we have a really weird sense of humor. So the reason when I got into comedy, I used most of what I learned from North Bergen. That was a never give up attitude. You know, when I was in the 8th grade, North Bergen won the state titles in football and in basketball. It was a year apart or something.
Yep.
Not only were they good in football, you have to look this up, Jim Hague. They were the #1 team in the East Coast that year.
Yes.
You know, these were not kids that were 6'8" and imposing. These were kids that were 6'1" and smaller, but they had something that no other team in New Jersey had. They had heart. That team that won that basketball with Cruz and Havlicek, they were good, but they weren't a sensational team.
No, they were probably one of the best public school teams in the history of Hudson County, though. They were very good. Very good.
They were very good.
Yeah.
Now, and then you get, I still remember when Bob Du Bois, a.k.a.
Juicy
and
his sidekick Miller.
Charlie Miller were playing in Hoboken with Armando Rivas.
Oh, my God.
You know,
Yep.
Come on. You got the wrong guy. Ask me what I had for breakfast. I don't know, Dick. Ask me what happened in 1976 on the corner of Bergen Line. I'll fucking tell you everything. If you killed somebody back then, trust me, I got state's evidence. But I still remember North Bergen going into Hoboken with that team when Hoboken led the county in slam dunks.
Oh, God.
Charlie Armando Arepas, Joe King, Bob Du Bois, and North Bergen with George Ketta and a couple kids figured out how to beat them. I had bet against North Bergen. There was no way they were going to beat Hoboken. Not only did they beat them, they beat Hoboken at home. And that's when I realized, man, the heart that we have as Hudson County people, you're not going to fucking stop us.
Yeah.
I came out here. I came out for a couple of years out here, and I floated around. And then I went back to something that nobody else had, but I knew I had. I'm not the funniest guy. Obviously, I'm not the best looking guy. I'm no actor, for Christ's sake. But I went back to my North Bergen roots. We don't give a fuck. No means yes to us. The more no's we get, the more no's we get, we know we're getting closer to a yes.
Yep.
I had to use what I grew up in North Bergen with. I had to dip into what I used when the Cubans in Union City and the Italians from Hoboken, and a lot of people don't know that Mrs. A is from Union City. Mrs. A remembers Fidel Castro.
Probably.
Do you know that Mrs. A still remembers Fidel Castro? You could quote me on that.
Yeah, no.
You could ask Mrs. A still remembers Fidel hanging out on the street corner and her walking past him.
Yeah, probably.
Mrs. A was telling me and Greg a story one night. We were sitting at the dinner table, me, Greg, Janine, and we're eating like a family, and we're talking about a concert. And Mrs. A goes, "You kids don't know nothing. When I was a little girl, I went to see Sinatra, this guy, and Greg popped up his head and he goes, Chad Master Flash. We grew up at the Ashley's house and we taught that to them. The biggest basketball beat I ever got in my life was not bitty basketball. It was not 13 to 15-year-old league. Mrs. Ashley used to have three brothers. God rest in peace. One of them being Richie. And one day we went to one of their family reunions. We thought we were hot shit in Sea Caucus. We thought we were the shit. We could beat we were beating everybody at Hashways.
Okay.
We went up against Mrs. Ashley's three brothers, and they were like, what's the story here? What are we going to do? We're going to just play for them. We're not jumping up and down. Anybody got any money? And we're like, yeah. I think I had $15 to my name. That was it. That was the week. Mike had like $8, and I don't know who else was on the team. They took our money. It was a 3-point game. We didn't even touch the ball.
Okay.
They hustled us, Hoboken style. We didn't even touch the ball. We didn't even know what happened. We did not even know what happened. One minute we had the ball, the next minute we lost.
All right, so
that's all I really wanted to say today. That I'm a stand-up comic today because I failed in basketball, but my North Bergen roots took over, and they made me come out here and fight like an animal, like a North Bergen person.
All right, but
fight every day.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about how it blossomed to where you are now. I mean, you moved to Los Angeles. That's when it started to take off. You got a couple of parts here and there. Your stand-up career went through the roof, and then you got some big parts in movies like I said before. Taxi, The Longest Yard.
That was 20 years. That was 20 years ago. Let's talk about the upcoming Sopranos.
All right, yeah, that's coming up next year, right? You got a part in the Many Saints of Newark.
Yeah, March 12th.
March 12th, and do you have a major role in that role, or what do you do? What do you got in that movie?
You know what, man? You just have to just wait and see what Uncle Joey's got.
All right.
But I'm not going to disappoint you.
Okay, good. All right, and the last. David Chase is great. He's going to take care of you. You're a perfect character for him, right?
He's a great guy. I learned a lot. It was great to shoot. It was a great opportunity, and I'm thankful.
Okay. Whatever happened, Coco, to documentary you were doing. Where I got my balls from. I remember writing a story about that for the Hudson Reporter way back when.
It's on YouTube for free.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. So.
Yeah, I think they put it up on Spotify. I don't know. I know it's definitely on YouTube for free.
All right, because I remember writing a story about it on in the Hudson Reporter way back when. I remember when I wrote like 4 or 5 stories about you in the North Bergen Reporter. One was when you got your first big role on My Name Is Earl. That was back in the year, 2003 or so. And then when you did your stand-up comedy routine in Jersey City, I did another story then. And then when the documentary was coming out, I did another one. So, I've had a major part in your life, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and there's all basic stuff.
Yeah. All right. So, and then before we close, because we're getting to the end of it, talk a little bit about your podcast and how can people get subscribed to get your podcast, which is the Church of What's Happening Now, and how many days a week do you take that?
I just put up 2 episodes a week.
Okay.
Because I don't want to, there's a lot of good podcasts out there that people want to hear all. I got it on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and Stitcher. It comes out Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay. And do you always try to interview comedians, or do you break it up a little bit and you have people here and there?
When it comes to the interviews, it's really how I do it. Like right now.
Like
your friend is talking.
Yes.
So when people listen to it, they're going to contact you and say, that was great. You did a good job. I love you to death. I've known you for 20 years.
Right.
So it's just 2 fat fucks having a conversation.
That's exactly what it was. Maybe that should be the name of this. Maybe that should be the name of this podcast. 2 fat fucks having a conversation. That's all it should be, right?
The church, the podcast, I went on there. I started with Beauty and the Beast, and I switched to church because I wanted to tell my story. I wanted to tell my story about being homeless, going to prison, watching Michael Kors and getting inspired and saying that one day I want my name on the TV like that, You there?
I'm here, baby. All right. So what else? Other than the Sopranos movie, what else is coming up?
I'm trying to put this book together for Audible. I got a deadline, so I'm trying to do it. I'm not a writer like you. I've been trying for 7 years to write this book, and I've had minimal success. I've got endless chapters. Even with an outline, I'm just not having way,
Okay.
Because I can't, if I get a client, I can write the book not quite lately. And today I was thinking, what am I going to do if I get a plat? I don't know how to change a fucking plat. What am I going to do? I got to buy a new bike or something, there's a lot of things I'm not good at and I'm expensive. Writing isn't one of them. Okay.
But making people laugh is certainly one of the good ones that you do, and you've had such a great. I mean, the one that's on Netflix right now that makes me die laughing. The Degenerates. Holy God, that's just absolutely hysterical.
And you know what, man? I don't even like taping those. I'm better live.
Yeah, of course.
You tape specials and stuff. You get piggy banked for this thing. I mean, I'm thankful that Netflix put me on the Degenerates, but man, I love working live. I love knowing that the camera's not there and I'm free and I can say whatever the fuck I want to say.
Okay.
And that's it, Jim Page.
All right, now talk real quick. Are there any plans to come back east to do any stand-up gigs locally? And because I know everybody look forward to that.
Between you and I, it is July, and who the fuck knows what's going on.
Right.
But this 7. I got one from the Grand, one a banana peel. You know, I don't have diabetes or anything like that, but I have controlled hypertension. You know, I lift. I rode my bicycle this morning for 35 minutes. I lifted weights yesterday. Nobody knows what's going on. I mean, all these big bands canceled. Everybody tours are canceled.
Yep.
Right now they're closing states as we speak. We have no beaches here for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
This weekend, my daughter is in camp. It's a day-to-day thing. I have a 7-year-old. I'm 57 years old.
God bless you. Daughter's 7 years old already. Wow, time flies.
And, you know, going on tennis and kickboxing and this and that. So today we do a podcast about science, her and I. You know, so it's really interesting. But right now, we're just all like everybody else trying to get healthy. We're hoping that our loved ones are safe. You know, they're not starving. People are missing meals. We're in a lot of bad shape right now.
That's it.
I love to, you know, I try to spread the comedy on social media through videos and the podcast. It take you away for a fucking hour, you know, what's going on in the news and everything. My heart goes out to New Jersey. I know a lot of the commissioners in North Bergen, from Anthony to Pasquale to, you know, I know great commissioners in Union City, from my main man, Lucio Menendez, I grew up with. And I know that my man Gino and Hoboken, the detective, they've all been working really hard and struggling. And my heart goes out to you guys back on the East Coast.
Beautiful. Well, we still love you here. There's no question. Gotta throw our gotta throw our boy George a little plug here before we close.
My brother over there at All-Star Framing.
I'm looking at a great creation that he made for me with my autograph of Mookie Wilson. That with Mookie Wilson signing his autograph on my back, and he put together the plaque for me. He does tremendous work, and I know that George Kolodinsky and you are very close, so we had to throw him a plug. Yeah.
We go back to 79 summer school. He was from Cliffside, and we met at some school in 79. As you can tell people, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I got a GED, and I'm a Cuban that don't play baseball. I got a lot of heart.
You got
Hudson County and North Bergen give me all kinds of balls.
Well, just like Coach A would say, you know what you got? You got the heart of a Bruin. So I appreciate you taking. I appreciate you taking some time to talk to me today, brother. You know how much I love you, and
I love you too.
All right, and we will keep in touch. And I appreciate you taking time to do the podcast today. And best of luck to you, Coco. Keep it going. All right.
You got it. Anything young guy you want to promote, let me know. Let me retweet it for you. You know I love you.
All right, man. You take care of yourself, and thanks so much for taking time to me. Be well.
Stay black, and watch that muffler.
Always. All right. Take care. I know. You got to take care of it. All right. And that was my friend Joey Coco Diaz talking about his background growing up in North Bergen, playing basketball, and that leading to his career in comedy. Thanks so very much for listening today. I'm Jim Haig, and we'll be back with another episode of the Hudson County Sports Podcast next week. And once again, my special thanks to my executive producer, my great nephew Johnny Haig, who helped me put this all together. Without him, this would not be happening. So again, thanks so much for listening. You take care and have a great day.